Okay, I watch Love Marriage Detroit. This is going to be my show. Okay, I do like Love and Marriage Huntsville, but I don't want to start reviewing it. But I also, I need to order some checks. Okay, I also like. I don't like Love and Marriage DC, so it's getting better, but I don't like it, so I'm not going to review it. Love and Marriage Detroit in the D. Okay, so there's three couples, which makes this a lot easier to kind of get to know these folks. That makes my life easier for sure. Um, these over here. And so let's talk about each of them. Kobe and Latoya are sorority sisters. I'm assuming they're AKs because I mean, I guess Deltas were pink, but I'm just going to assume they're AKs. Hi, sorors. Okay. And then you have Russell, and Russell is married to Kobe. I actually do kind of like Russell. Anthony, I do not. Um, Christina and Brandon. I think there's more to the story here. So let's get into it. Christina and Brandon is who were introduced first. They got married in 6 months and they've been together for a while. I don't like the fact that he's like, well, I didn't think we were gonna make it this far. So when they had like their anniversary dinner, which was really gorgeous in a lavender field, which is actually really pretty. She's a stylist. We have two influencers, Colby and Christina, and she no longer will style any of his clients. And the look on her face, I was like, okay, so we see that there's a problem here. Um, uh, I'm gonna jump and say that because Kobe and Christina go on a mommy me, they have a mommy and me kind of date with their kids. And Christina is definitely overwhelmed. I'm gonna say like on so many levels, I can understand Christina because when you have little ones, it becomes really difficult to have a life. And I can completely understand struggling being a new mom and trying to put it together. I do think that um, I don't know if it's easier to be a young mom because at least you don't know what you're missing. When you're older, you're like, oh, I've done it already. So now I'm kind of cool to step back. But I think the issue is when you're dating married to somebody who's in the music industry, because I'm I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. My husband is in used to be, he goes back and forth in the music. It is difficult. And when we first had our child, I mean our first child, it the number of fights we've had because there is no set time and you need help. Like, I don't care how much money you're bringing in. And at the time, like with my situation, mm, the money was not coming in from music. So I think it's, at least for him, it's a little bit better because money was coming in from music for him. And so like this is why, but at the same token, it's really difficult when you're like, oh, I don't know when I'm coming home. Like, so she calls him at the office, and Brandon is like, she's just asking simple questions like, why, when are you coming home? And he doesn't even want to give her that answer. He's lying about what who he's in the studio with, and all of that to me, even if he feels justified in having these lies, and keeping all this from her, what you're doing is you're perpetuating the issues that she's already having. She's having an issue with this, with music, and she's going to keep having an issue with music because you can't be honest. And that's why she's so angry. And I know that he doesn't want to acknowledge that anger, and I get that, but this is what your problem is. And this work life balance is really not good for her. She's overwhelmed. She wants to work. I and she wants to work and completely continue to do her influencing or whatever kind of jobs that she possible opportunities she has. But how can she if you don't have a schedule that's at least dependent on her ability to have time to herself? And this is going to be a problem until that baby gets older. Till those baby gets older. And it really isn't fair. She wants to have a more 50-50 relationship. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's possible with somebody in the music industry like this. And I don't think he's making enough for you to be able to kind of coexist this way. See, somebody has to give unless you have absolute a lot of help. And so I empathize with Christina for sure. I will say though that one of the reasons that I did not like the music industry and was really pushing like let's focus more on golf and other things is because he was a better man. I don't think that the music industry helps people become better men and help them be their better self. They really don't. And it sucks because you want to be supportive, but then also like you don't feel like you're being supported when you're with someone in an industry that's not very supportive of families and doesn't really care. So they get to come and go whenever you want to, and you're playing, the supportive role. But at the same token, the way that he talks to her, he didn't want to go home. And even in the confessional, she's like, well, you got to be home for me to be able to support, for me to appreciate you. Yeah, that's not how this works. Like it could be you can appreciate him and give him a warm space to land, because if he comes home and he feels like it's like a dread, then he ain't coming home. I'm gonna be honest, like he's not gonna come home. And so I'm not putting this blame on her. Hear me out. I'm not putting the blame on her, but I am saying that he's not coming home. And if you want him to come home, then I think that you're going to have to shift your tone a little bit on this. And with that being said, at their anniversary dinner, I love how Russell was like talking to Kobe, like, I'm gonna need you to keep your toes in this house. And he was warning her without trying to like, he couldn't bump her across the table. But this was a warning to be like, don't ask no questions, don't ask no questions. Because Brenda's over here having a whole new artist and he hadn't told his wife. And clearly he says that she said it was an emotional relationship that he had with this other woman. It's probably more than emotional. There was some touching. For you no longer to want to be involved in his business, for you to no longer want him to develop anyone, for you to no longer to want him in the club, and you putting all these restrictions on him, it was not just a emotional thing, it was a physical and emotional. This man was having a real full-blown relationship with somebody else that he was on the verge of leaving you for. Real talk. So I mean, I feel like you need to go get that Mary J. Blige album. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, he tried his best to keep Kobe from talking. Kobe's like, so who's this new artist? And so Latoya is about to, Christina is about to break down and cry. Like, why would you? And then Brandon's trying to, he's talking about how husbands are being held back in their dreams. Wives are being held back in their dreams. You think wives want to be a supporting cast to you? Is that what you think? You think she wants to be just sitting up here taking care of two babies? And to be your supporting cast, and you get to come and go whenever you want to. And then, you had Anthony over here holding you down, trying to big you up, talking about you need to be supportive and da da da. And then when Latoya is like, no, Christina's, I keep saying his name wrong, sorry. Christina's like, given his history with being out in the club, anyway, because of his history of being out in the club or whatever. And then Anthony's like, I'm sorry, history? All the other women were looking like this. So clearly, all the other women know. Anthony's like, you keep bringing up history. Are we still talking about business? I'm gonna need Anthony to add 1 + 1 = 2, because he's like, I'm gonna need you to say what the history is, because y'all are sugarfooting it, and I'm gonna need you to make it plain for the people in the back to understand what the history is. What is the history? Um, Anthony, the history is that Brandon ain't faithful. That's what the history is. So you over here championing for a faithful man, and Brandon ain't faithful. So there's that. Since we're talking about Brandon, no, Anthony, my bad. Let's skip along to Latoya and Anthony. I love Dr. Latoya Sowar. She has a wine called Opulence. She is I love how, see, I can understand her even though Anthony is a bit of a jerk. I think that I can understand where she's not willing to check her husband terribly in person in public, which I'm down with that. I don't think that checking husbands, because I wouldn't want him to do that to me. So even if he checks me, like I wouldn't want him to check me publicly, like you wrong, you do like I'm not gonna get rah-rah. So I like how Latoya handles it. She may give her little facial expressions, and Christina will go toe to toe with him. I don't know how comfortable I feel with having these women talk to my husband this way, but I also know that Anthony is acting a bit of a jerk here. He works for Live Nation. He was trying to get this job opportunity with Marvel and um, somebody else. I can't remember. And in Atlanta, he moved. He went down there in the middle of the pandemic and was working with these with these opportunities, left his wife who's do 3 kids. And he's like, well, aren't you supposed to follow like in the olden days? She's like, these aren't the olden days. Because she has a career. Right? She just can't get up and leave like an entrepreneur can. She has a full-fledged career. She's working in a hospital. And the kids can't just up and well, I guess during the pandemic they could up and leave, but she couldn't because she had to physically work in the hospital. So I think that that's not okay to belittle her position. But I also think that I don't think that it was, I know that trying to do balance all of this was a lot, but I think the bigger issue is that he didn't have a conversation about, is this the best thing that we should be doing now? And if you had a conversation with her, then she probably would have had a little bit more compassion for you at this moment. You did not do that. And thus, we are left with Latoya not feeling this situation. And you need to think, and she's like, look, and he knows. She's like, look, there are consequences to your decision. It's not like I want to divorce you. I love you. We working on it. But the consequence is that you either are going to be present in this family or you are going to leave. So I think that he does feel that he's being restricted of his opportunities for sure, even though he has, you know, they have, they're developing with each other. He's creating this whole man movement. Go somewhere with that. But I can understand, um, he sounds childish in some ways, but I can also understand that there's a sense of, there's some level of respect here. And so I can take some of what he's doing with not he's, even though he's offensive, I do get that he is going to be there for his family. And I just hope that he doesn't resent his wife for making him feel that he had to make a decision. But what she wants is, let's talk about the various opportunities that we have together and make decisions. Last couple, Kobe and Russell. I like Kobe. I really do. Russell has Sword Detroit. He's in the Army National Guard. Of course, Kobe is an influencer. And what do we know a lot about Kobe? Not much. Um, I don't think I have many notes about Kobe and Russell. So that is that. They have the cutest, they have one daughter, which is all the kids are just adorable as all get out. It doesn't seem like they have many issues per se. I just think, Russell's not very romantic. I think that's okay. Um, Kobe seems to be more, Kobe and Russell seem to have the more grounded relationship. I mean, they're like, we're best friends, we lovers, we're whatever. He's like, yeah, we have fun time. And they're like, she's like, well, when's this fun time? She's like, oh, we play games. She's like, what games do we play? Sex is the game. I thought that was cute, fun. I loved it. I love them so far. They share everything together. Brandon, word to the wise. All husbands tell their wives gossip. All wives tell their husband gossip. The difference is this: husbands don't listen. My husband does not listen to my gossip. Sometimes he does, and he'll be like, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Wives, we listen to the gossip. So if you plan on telling your friends your business, I'm letting you know. Their wives are gonna know. So the fact that you think that you're not gonna tell you cannot get upset at Kobe telling your business because you should have told your wife. And then to be upset, like, it's just you upset over paperwork, sir. It's a contract. Of course, of course. Don't belittle the contract. Like, Brandon, you don't want to get married to, you don't want to stay married to her, and that's perfectly legit and fine, and I'm all for it. I just think that you should just be honest instead of trying to put other people in the mix like they're the problem. That being said, I'm hungry. I've been working since 5:30. It's 10:30. I've had no break. I haven't left my chair in 5 hours. So I am going to bid you adieu because I have another hour of work left to do. And I need to record my podcast. I am like 3 weeks behind on that. It's a lot. Bye.